So here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Kings of Anglia Fan Social, the show where the KOA Army share their thoughts on all things town. And hope you all had a good week. I'm joined this week by good old Mark Beck and the King of the North, John Watson, as we discuss all things town. 5 wins in a row, 6 clean sheets, a club record. It's all going well at town. Let's go over to good old Mark Beck first of all. Always a pleasure, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a little while, either on here or at game day. I've been avoiding you, I promise. But no, it's all going rosy. It's a bit of a weird situation to be in as an Ipswich Town fan. I've almost been lost for words because we've been that good that I've had nothing really to say after a game. It's kind of just been fairly routine wins, which is generally not the Ipswich way. We usually try and make it a little bit difficult for ourselves. But no, as you said, 6 clean sheets, 5 straight wins. It's very uncharted territory, especially with that last result at Bolton. Things are looking rosy as we go into the end of the season. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out.
Indeed, yes. It's getting tougher and tougher doing these podcasts now, trying to think of a thing to talk about. But we're still here, and we've got plenty to talk about on the agenda, so do not worry. Before we get on to John Watson, hello, John. We'll get to you in a minute. I know you're a big gig going. What's the word? Just gigger. You like to go to gigs, Mark. You've been to a recent, gig. I don't know. Is that what you call it? But I've been seeing you've been going to gigs. What was it on? Was it Sunday or Monday? You went to a gig?
I went on Monday. It was a band called the Lathams. I had to go across the border for that, so I did have to take my passport. They're very good. Wigan-based band, if you like, sort of your indie rock. They kind of like their old school bands. They're very into like Beautiful South, House Martin sort of people. So if you like that sort of thing, they're a good little band. That's the Lathams. If you want to listen to them, but yeah, no, more gigs to come in the summer. Hopefully, I'll have a promotion to kick it all off, and yeah, a nice summer of music as well.
Definitely. And I know we've got John Watson here. He's a keen drummer back in the day. I'm sure you still do if you can. But John, always a pleasure. I saw you in Bolton. You were there to be my bodyguard just in case any Bolton fans kicked off. In the background, we were worried when we were doing an interview. But yeah, how's things, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, mate. I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm a bit croaky. I think I got a bit of the cold air in Bolton in my lungs as I was screaming and shouting and enjoying what was a great solid performance and professional performance on Saturday. That certainly was a real nice tonic. Really enjoyed that. Not just, like I said to you on Saturday, Ross, it wasn't just because we won the game. It was because we were up against it. And it was one of those games that typically we wouldn't ordinarily win. And it gives you hope, doesn't it? And so, as Mark said, rather than, we're not getting carried away, we're not being silly, but 10 games to go. We're in it, and let's see where it takes us. And it's very exciting. So that was a really good start to the week. Work's been a bit stressful this week, but hey, it's good to be talking to you guys this evening and talking about all things town. So thanks for having me on.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Always a pleasure to have good old King of the North, John Watson. And as John said, 10 games to go. We have entered the running, boys. Mark Beck, we're in a position that we're normally not in when we're in League One. Normally, this is the time when we're like, oh, here we go. Another season League One beckons, but the running is here. Third in the league, 2 points away from Plymouth. How are you feeling as we're going into these 10 games?
Nervous because I just think that's natural as an Ipswich fan. We're just waiting for the wheels to fall off at some point. But no, I mean, like I just said, it's really strange to be in this position. To come into, I can remember after the Oxford game, and there's a lot of glum and negativity around the fan base. We kind of thought we've seen the story a million times before that we've put ourselves earlier in the season in a good position to do something and just completely, thrown it away. But we're all the people trying to remain positive. We're all saying, well, if we can go on a run, we've got a good run of fixtures. If we go into this, get a good amount of wins together in a row, and then come to this run in that we've got now, which started last week. We can really be in of a chance, and it's amazing for us to actually be in this position. As much as you look at the games that we've had prior to Bolton, you go, we probably should be winning those 3-0. We've seen it time and time again at League One. Those results don't happen. but regardless of whether you get promoted or not, the teams that win the league don't always necessarily, well, it seems a bit different this year, but they don't always seem to trounce the opposition at times. There is always stumbling blocks in the way. But no, a few results have gone our way, which again has not always been something that we've had this season, but we're right back in it now. We've got to just keep that pressure on Plymouth now. Obviously, there's been a bit of a change to the fixture list, and there'll be a few more, things that will change along the way, I'm sure, and in this run-in that we've got. But we've just got to take it game by game. I'm going to use someone that I speak to on a regular basis. They always quote Whitney Houston, taking it step by step. So that's what we're going to have to do. Just take each game as it comes, get all the football cliches out of the way, and just see where we are. The reason if we do our bit and Plymouth end up pipping us by those 2 points, well, we can't say fair enough than that. If we end up doing all we can to try and get ourselves in the automatics, but I think we're in a good place for the playoffs. I think, as much as I wasn't there on Saturday, that's such a big statement of a win, something that we haven't done. I think everyone was expecting, oh well, here we go, we've won four on the trot against teams we should beat. We'll go up to Bolton and put in, a pretty much of a shadow of a performance of what we've been used to the last few weeks. And no, we came through it, and I think it's going to be a big. That might be the turning point. That could actually be the difference between promotion, whether that be automatics or playoffs or not getting promoted at all. You've got to go and do that. Go and beat teams at their place that are going to be there at the end of the season. So, yeah, nervous but optimistic as always.
As always. And John Watson, I know you're excited for this run-in. How are you feeling then, my friend? We've got momentum for the first time at this stage of the season. 5 wins in a row. Hopefully that continues. How are you feeling?
Yeah, excited, a little bit apprehensive. I agree with everything Mark said there. There's lots of sense spoken as always. For me, looking at Chef Wed, they are just doing the 1-0 hard fought, keeping a tight ship, not conceding, kind of doing what it says on the tin, a bit like Rotherham have done in the past, or that kind of that not necessarily the attractive way of winning, but doing what they need to. And but a few weeks ago we were looking at Plymouth going, oh, they never lose, they're on great form. That's what other teams are doing to us right now. What is it now? Is it, do we say 14 goals in 5 games, 5 clean sheets? People are looking at us thinking, there's 6 clean sheets now, isn't it?
16 goals, I think. I'm trying to get the maths. I think yeah. But all clean sheets.
Just to get the stats, we're doing really well, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We're scoring lots of goals and conceding none. And I think other teams will be looking at us. Like the Bolton fan we spoke to at the end of the game day, Ross, and was typical of the other people we interacted with. And reading a few things, I know Twitter's like a weird place and not always the best judge of what the real mood. But I think Plymouth fans are nervous. They're seeing us on the tails and Barnsley on the tails. It's not just us. They're looking, going, oh, suddenly we're not winning away from home, and what happens if we start losing at home? I've seen that kind of comment. So it's nice for us to be, the hunter rather than the hunted, as we've joked about in the past. But I don't think Bolton will want to play us in the playoffs if we don't get automatic. They'll be worried because we've just had that statement winner and we deserve that. So, Derby out of form, that kind of thing. There's only I'm more worried about Barnsley as the other team than I am about anybody else. So imagine if we keep doing a good job, and I know we're going to talk later on about the rearranged fixture, but imagine we've got a lot more wins under our belt before we have to go and play them in late April. Maybe a draw will be fine. Maybe that's the one defeat. Even if we get defeat, we might have won another few games before then. So let's just build on the confidence, really, because so I think the Bristol Rovers game after the Oxford game was, everybody was down and it was like, oh, frustrating. And the optimist in me, like everybody else, would be saying we could just go on a little run, we could get maximum points in 4 games in a row, and then maybe do well against Bolton. It felt almost like a wish and a hope rather than a reality, because that doesn't happen. We don't go on runs like that. We just have. That's brilliant. We've had that run to get us back up there. What we need to now is have that run again to make it really secure. So it's exciting, isn't it? And then hopefully at the end of the season, I'm trying to think of a Whitney Houston quote to follow yours, Mark. We'll be either winning at Wembley or get promoted, and I'll be saying, I want to dance with somebody. I mean, that's the best I could do. Or Ipswich Town, I will always love you. There you go. There's 2 bad Whitney. It's just an exciting time to be a Town fan, mate. Loving it. I'm really pleased to be getting to as many games as I can and being part of it. It's great, isn't it? We actually are delivering. And the reality is, we could still get better. We could still do, and that's good. That feels really good. So exciting times. Try not to get carried away, but it's more than hope. It's based on a bit of reality now. We've gone and proven that we can win at tough places. We've gone and proven we can go on a run. We've stopped conceding silly goals at the moment. I'm not saying we'll shut out for the rest of the season, but hey, we've proven we can do that, and that gives people like Walton confidence, people like the back 4 as a whole, or the team as a whole, confidence that we can do that. So that belief and that momentum are key, I think. Really, really pleased with that.
Definitely, my friend. I just love seeing John there, his face. If you're watching on video, just beaming with a massive smile on his face. And Mark as well. We're just yeah. I say we're not getting carried away, but yeah, we're just happy. We're happy. Well, there's a few fans that may not have been that happy about the postponement of the Barnsley game because international call-ups. But congratulations to Wes Burns and Nathan Broadhead, called up to Wales. As of this recording, we don't know who the third man is, although we think it could be Greg Lee or Sam Morsey. So congrats to them in advance if they have been called up. But the Barnsley game is been postponed. Of course, was going to originally be played on the 25th of March. Is now going to be played on the 25th of April. Is that right? Yeah, April. Yeah. So just basically a month to go, really. But that does mean we have no game for that weekend. But Mark, your thoughts on that? We had this before under Paul Lambert. Sorry to bring up his name. The name shouldn't be named. But back in the day, in our first League One campaign, we kept postponing games because we had under 21s getting called up, blah, blah, blah. But Wes Burns, Nathan Broadhead, they're starters. And if it's Sam Morsey, he's our captain. So your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think if it's any other team in division, it's a no-brainer. They do exactly the same thing. If the shoe was on the other foot and we had none, and you look at Barnsley and you take out Nicky Cadden, Adam Phillips, and Devante Cole or James Norwood, they're calling that off like without a shadow of a doubt. So it's very different to the Lambert era where it seemed to be like he'd go and find anyone he could off the street and see if he could get it called off. It seemed like, I don't know why, but less said about that the better, really. But no, a little bit of a shame in terms of it could have, like I said, there's going to be a lot of twists and turns between now and the end of the season. I think Barnsley play Wycombe on Saturday, which is going to be potentially, that may follow on from a Bolton defeat at Sheffield Wednesday. So Wycombe will be right up for that if that's the case, because they're right on the tails of Bolton. And then I think Barnsley have got to host Sheffield Wednesday in midweek as well. So potentially Barnsley could have gone into the game with us off the back of not winning the previous 2 games. But for us, like you said, we can't go into that game risking it with 3 of our starters potentially not in the team. It's going to be a rest period, which is something that a lot of teams aren't going to have. I know we're moving the fixture into the next month, but having that, what will probably be 10 days off, will make a big difference. We've still got bodies coming back. John Jules can't be that far away, I hope, anyway. Don Balls, obviously, he was on the bench on Saturday. He'll be closer to first team fitness. Kamara might be about. Not sure about Lee Evans, but we'll be having all those names coming back into it for that rearranged fixture. And who knows? It's a day before my birthday. If that's a promotion decider, then no pressure, lads. But I want a good birthday present from you.
Definitely. Do you know one thing? I'm not defending any opposition fans sort of saying, "Oh, they've got a massive squad. They've got squad depth. They should be fine." But I was thinking, if it is on the other foot in terms of like if we had injuries, if we had say like those 3 players are out injured, we wouldn't call off the game, would we? Because you couldn't. I don't think there's a rule about that.
No,
So,
no.
but that's just my quick take on that. But once again, I'm not defending that, but I'm just sort of saying that. But John, your thoughts on it as a whole?
Listen, it's the rule. It's the EFL rule. If you have 3 players called up for international duty, you can call the game off. We're not breaking any rules. If you, like Mark said, you take 3 starters out of any team, yes. I mean, would Man City prefer to have De Bruyne, Haaland, and Ederson or whoever, in their team or outside the team? We're going to choose the best team they can. Will it stop momentum? Well, it might, but it might give us a chance to rest other players. It might make that game less important because other things might have taken care of themselves by that point. Who knows? It is what it is. There's no point stressing about it. On a personal level, I obviously live in Dunny, so it's not far from Barnsley. It's one of the games I'm going to. I would have preferred it being on a Saturday. I know some of the Fans Social boys who were going to be up, we're going to have a beer and a curry afterwards. That's not going to happen now because some people aren't going to be able to get there. That's the disappointing thing on a personal human level, But grand scheme of things, it's a fixture away. Let's just deal with it. The most important thing is we need to concentrate on our own performance on the pitch. Stop worrying about other teams still. I've talked about Plymouth and, whatever. We need to win our games when we play our games. And it doesn't matter which order we play them in, because that's just the order they're in. We just have to get on with it, crack on. Like Shrewsbury first. There's no point worrying too much about Barnsley. Let's do the Shrewsbury game and then take it from there. Because if we start looking too far ahead, that's when maybe we don't grind out the 1-0 that we need or turn on the style and get a 3-0 or whatever it is, because we're too busy looking at other fixtures. Let's just do the right thing. Ultimately, it's the right call. So just get on with it.
Yeah, pretty much. Ignore the haters, the opposition teams who are saying, Town have got a massive squad. How are they calling this game off? But once again, if they had that situation, I'm sure they would. I think Plymouth, they called off a game in September. So, because they had international call-ups. So yeah. But let's talk about the announcement as well that Town put out about the new ticketing priority system, which is going to apply for the visits to Cheltenham, Peterborough, and the final day clash of Fleetwood. Of course, it depends on, maybe the Fleetwood game. That could be a massive game in terms of like, will we get top 2? Will we, playoff, or playoff should be confirmed before then. But in terms of will that be a top 2 decider? What's your thoughts on this, then, Mark? Once again, it's probably divided by the fan base once again because of situations for people. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would love to go to away games, but they've got work and other commitments. What's your thoughts on it as a whole?
I think it can only really be seen as a positive thing because probably you go back 4 or 5 years ago, we probably couldn't give away tickets away in a Happy Meal, to be honest. But it's good to see the demand there. It's clearly showing that people are enjoying football again. That's the most important thing. Whether you're winning or losing is most important that you're enjoying it. And this season alone has been, one of the most memorable of my time as a Town fan. That's very depressing to say. There's just other people have had a lot better time than I have as a Town fan. But no, it is unfortunate for certain people. I completely understand that it's difficult, but I've been to, I think, up to 12 away games, I think, this season. I missed a few, but there's people who are more of a diehard fan than I am. Like if we said, right, we're not going to play the Barnsley game, we're going to have a friendly in Estonia, there'd be people there, like guaranteed. So those people absolutely deserve to be rewarded and have the opportunity to guarantee their place at every game. But it's purely because of this league that we're in. You go to Cheltenham, you only get 1,000 fans. You go to Fleetwood, you only get 1,000 fans. And we're selling out home games, or at least getting 24,000 for most home games as a minimum. So there's always going to be difficulty if you can't even get 10% of your fan base from your home games into your away games in that instance. Well, whether this will continue, should we be promoted, I don't know. I think it's kind of just maybe a test run to see how it goes. But it's good that they're doing something to reward the people that have been there for the whole journey. But yeah, I do feel sorry for the people that are going to miss out on some of the fun along the way, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, as you said, it's just the division we're in. Some of the smaller grounds we go to, yeah, as you mentioned, Cheltenham, Fleetwood. That we only get 1,000. Luckily Derby and the likes of that, I know it's not coming in to play with this system, but at least with Derby and Barnsley, we were able to fit 3,000. MK, we could have probably 15,000 if we wanted to. We got 7 in the end. But yeah, John, your thoughts on this?
It's hard. I'm just trying to count up how many games I've been to, away games. I think I'm at 9. Mm-hmm. So that says something that for me on a personal level. No, I'm actually at 10. I'm actually at 10. If you're counting cup games, do Burnley away count?
Oh, that's away. I don't know if they count it. Will they count it? I'm sure you've got to count that.
The problem is I've got a friend with a gold card who's paid for or got me one of the tickets for. It's a Derby game, so that's not in my name. So actually, that probably takes me down to 9. So, hey, I live away from Ipswich, so I go over the last 39 years, whatever it is. My God, I've gone to a lot of away games, more than I've gone to home games. It's only since COVID finished I've come to Postponement Road more frequently, more often. But I've always come down a couple of times a year, and it's sneaked up to 10 times a year, and I'm just whispering that case my wife can hear me. Yeah, so I go to more away games, and I always have, but I absolutely understand the fairness of saying the people who go to home and away, it's going to probably frustrate some people who live, if you live near one of those places and that's your game you can go to and suddenly you can't get a ticket, that's going to be frustrating. But for the people who go to every home game and have a season ticket and go to the vast majority of away games, it's not that they're the better fans, because different points in your life, you might have the income to do that. You might have family issues that stop you from doing that, or job that stops you. Phases of your life, as my dad would say, is like different points. You can do different things. When I was at university, I couldn't afford to go to as many games. When I was working, I started going to more. And then when my kids were really little, I couldn't justify being away as much as I can now. They're growing up a little bit. So it swings and roundabouts, but it's ultimately it's fair, isn't it? Yeah, the big takeaway from that is we're popular. When we were in the Premier League, I managed to go to Anfield and got a ticket for that. I didn't manage to get Man United, but I managed to go to Anfield, and I was just a Silver Club member, or what the equivalent back then. Managed to go to Leeds, managed to go to Goodison, managed to go, lots, St James's, Stadium Light Up. Didn't have a problem getting tickets, but actually, I'm having a problem getting tickets to League One. That says something, isn't it? That's it. That says the club are doing something right. But equally, I couldn't get a ticket for Cambridge. I would love to go to Cambridge, but I was not able to, because obviously it's closer to Ipswich. It's an hour less drive for me than going to Postponement Road, but I couldn't get a ticket. And that's just the way it is. I mean, what do? You just crack on. There's no point whinging. It is what it is. I think a couple of people will be. I've seen some people being like, "Oh, the true fans deserve it." Well, is it a true fan if you go to all the games? Because you might listen to the I Follow commentary, you listen to all the podcasts that you possibly can, and you think about your team and how miserable you are or how happy you are. That might show what a fan you are. I believe I'm a proper fan, true fan, whatever that means, but not everybody can fit in the ground, can they? So just crack on.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all love the club, love Ipswich Town. A lot of people got to work and got commitments, so you can only maybe go to a few away games a season. But yeah, I'm sure everyone's going to support the team going forward. And yeah, as you said, we've got all this great technology now. You can watch the game wherever you are. In Luxembourg and all that sort of stuff. But yes, boys, well, let's segue now onto the strike. As always, the set piece of the podcast. 4 questions plus the tiebreaker, as always. Mutt Beck versus Johnny Watson. Of course, as ever, play at home. Let me know how you get on. And who will be crowned champion this week. We've got 4 questions based on, of course, birthdays and Shrewsbury Town. And the first question is on Vladio Wozgonowski. I think I said that right. A player from the 90s, Mark. I wasn't born when he played. Do you know him, John?
Not the way you pronounced it, but
Yeah. Vladio Bozanowski. I don't know. Good old Vladio, who was cut for Australia, but was from Yugoslavia and all that stuff. But that isn't the question. The question is, he joined Town from which country? So he's playing in a country, and he signed from a Portuguese club, a team from Holland, or an Italian club. So Vladio Bozganowski. No, fuck, give up. Vladio. So yes, he joined from which country? Yes. Good old Vladio. I think there's a picture of him with somebody. I think with Boncho Guenchev. I think they signed sort of similar time. So
I'm having a senior moment because I'm looking at that name thinking I should be able to recall that. I'm just going,
I've never heard of him.
What's going on with my head?
He signed in the first Premier League season. So 1992, 93. And he played, I think, 12 games or something in total. So not many games, but played in the Premier League for us. So, but yeah, I don't know him either really, Mark, only from research because I wasn't born.
I think it was I was there and probably seen him play, and I'm just going, no information on this.
It's fine. I guess that's why I thought this is a perfect question. Really, is like, John may know. Okay, he's gone Holland. You're both gone Holland. Both gone Holland.
I just thought we usually sign people from Holland.
It was actually Portugal. He signed from Beira-Mar. I've butchered that completely as well, but a Portuguese club. He was at Sporting Lisbon briefly. But yeah, he played a lot actually, and not in Portugal. Played also in Belgium. Of course, Australia, where he moved. He also played in Singapore, Turkey. But you're both wrong. So there we go. If you got it right, well done. If you did. Question 2.
Well done.
Yes, well done. Question 2 is on another very vague Town player, more modern. Danny Rowe. Remember Danny Rowe?
Oh, yeah.
Good old Danny Rowe.
His brother played as well, didn't he?
Yes.
The Donny Rovers, I've seen him play.
Tommy.
Tommy Rowe. Yeah. And then there is another Danny Rowe, isn't there? Because we were linked with that Danny Rowe as well. Yeah. And he was a random signing from Mick because he signed from a non-league, and then it's just a random signing. But what is his middle name then, boys? Is it George Martin?
I hope it was going to be where did you sign him from, because I could tell you that straight off.
Yeah, I've done that question before. I think when Danny Rowe's come up on the strike, so I thought I've got to mix it up. So Danny Rowe, the Ipswich Danny Rowe, not the other Danny Rowe. If you want to know, his middle name is Lucas. The other Danny Rowe. But yeah, what is this Danny Rowe's middle name? Is it George, Martin, or Stephen? So remember, in your heads, sort of go Danny George Rowe, Danny Martin Rowe, or Danny Stephen Rowe. What do you reckon, boys? One of you, if you get it right, you'll get a point. If you both get it right, then you both get a point.
I've gone for George.
Oh, both gone George. You've both gone George.
I can see John's sheet from below me. I'm looking down.
Looking down. And I wouldn't copy because you're both wrong. It's Martin. It's Martin Rowe.
We're doing well tonight, Mark, aren't we?
Yeah. Consistently good.
Yeah,
very much so. Question 3 is on squad numbers, and it's on Mauricio Taricco. Now, we only had squad numbers in the 90s when you played in the Premier League, and I think Taricco only actually had this squad number for one game, which was his debut against Bolton, and apparently he was very bad. Were you there, John? Did you watch his debut, or do you remember the time? Apparently it wasn't a great debut from him, but of course he went on to become a cult hero.
I wasn't there at his debut. I remember seeing him play at White Hart Lane, and he was terrific. I've seen him play loads of times, but I wasn't there at the Bolton game though.
Yeah, but because of course he was number 3, but then that was we just had 1 to 11 back then. But he had one squad number. Was it 18, 21, or 24? So yeah, I had to really dive right into my stats for this one to find the squad number.
Well, I was convinced it was going to be 33. So what the hell do I know? I've gone for 24.
21.
Ooh, we actually have a correct answer this time around. And it is John Watson. It is 24.
Oh.
John Watson, number 24 there. So a point go to Johnny Watson. And the final question, can Mark Beck pull up goal back and go into a tiebreaker? Or is John going to make it 2-0? Or could it just be both wrong and it'll just be a 1-0 victory for John? Matthew Pennington is, of course, returning to Portland Road with Shrewsbury. He's now finally got his own permanent home because he was on loan with us and other clubs and Shrewsbury. Then he signed for them permanently last season. He scored 1 goal for Town and also got sent off. But who set him up for his goal against Birmingham in 2018? Was it Grant Ward, John Nolan, or Gwion Edwards? My boy. My former boy. Not my boy anymore because he turned out to be rubbish. And yeah, anyway. Sorry, Gwion. Sorry, Gwion. Wes Burns is better. But yeah, I think it was a header. So whoever you think would take corners. I think it was from a corner. I don't know. I didn't actually.
2-2 away.
Yeah, 2-2 away. Yeah, he got sent off, I think, late on. I think that season, like Toto also got sent off, didn't he? And then he scored in that game. It was his only goal for Town, but he also got sent off in that game against Sheffield Wednesday, which shouldn't have been a red card, but that's another story for another day. But yeah, Grant Ward, John Nolan, or Gwion Edwards.
I like Pennington when he played for us. I thought he
I remember his header in the ball when it was on the floor. It just went to like Phil Jones tried to do the same thing, didn't he? Once,
yeah,
just trying to he's falling on his arse and he's just trying to do something as opposed to nothing.
Brilliant.
Ridiculous. Now, John, I'll let you go first as you're winning, so take it away. What have you gone for?
I actually think it's Gwion Edwards, but I've gone for John Nolan.
Okay.
I've also gone for John Nolan because he scored a hell of a goal in that game as well. I remember.
He did. You're both wrong. It's actually Grant Ward. Grant Ward
really?
set him up.
Oh, so you're still playing for us then?
Yeah, he's still playing for us. Yeah. So John, you've won.
It kind of limped over the line there. Yay! But yeah. But let's do the tiebreaker. I'm ready to throw it in because I don't feel I deserve victory here. This is like all
I blame the questions.
Yeah, maybe this wasn't my best effort in terms of question. It started badly with Vladio Bozganovsky or whatever his bloody name is. Yeah, just making people up. I'm not making up this person though. Sam Parkin. How many goals did he score in 22 games for Town? So John, Mark's got to get his bang on to win. If he gets closest, he doesn't win. I don't know. It'll be 1-1. Ooh, no, but you've won over.
So John might know because he was very good away from home, but not very good at home, wasn't he?
Yeah, true that. 22 games. I think probably not. I think he wanted to probably play more games, but he had injury problems, didn't he? And stuff like that. Very good pundit these days, of course.
Yeah, I like him as a pundit. He's grown on me. He's one of those people who's got better with experience and time, and he speaks a lot of sense, actually.
Definitely. But yeah, just I think he does talk about his Town time. He's disappointed about how it went, but I think he's still got fond memories of it because it's just what it is. But yeah, how many goals do you reckon?
Mentioned at the end of This Country, if you ever seen that series.
Yes,
yeah.
Great. That's a great series.
Love that.
Yeah. It was the actress who plays one of the main characters. She's just always got Swindon shirts on.
My keeper.
Yeah, great.
If you haven't seen it, anyone, it's so funny, especially if you're used to living in rural places. It's so on the nose.
Yeah, I like it.
She's mad as a hatter as well, isn't she?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, This Country, good recommendation for the TV recommendation right there. Beautiful. All right then, Mark, I'll let you go first. What you gone for, and then we'll go to John. 6. Okay, John.
I've gone for 4.
4 in between. Sally, Mark, you're not got it spot on. It's 5. So you one away. 5 in 22 games. That's not. What's that? One in every.
That's just hard, wasn't it? You've got to replace Chef Kikuchi in it. It's not good, is it?
Was it Nicky Forster came in at the same time?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he scored in his debut.
When we talk about replacing successful players who had probably the best spells and things were going their way, and then the team was weaker, and we brought in players who were of a different style as well. Although was it on? It was Blue Monday, I think. I had an interview with him, and he was really good listen. and he talked really well about his time at Town and how he hoped it would work out and how he really wanted to work. It wasn't through lack of effort, but I think from what I kind of recall from living through it and looking back on it, there's quite sad that he was almost missold his role, like because he was a big guy. They expected him to be able to do some of the things that he wasn't quite able to do, and he was better with his feet than people gave him credit for, and things just didn't fall for him,
Yeah,
it's sad.
Yeah, he did score twice at Leeds, at Ellen Road, so that's not a bad little away day.
I was there.
Remember. Yeah,
I was there. Yep.
Yeah, I think I may have been there as a youngster, possibly. I'm trying to remember.
I was probably the loud northerner swearing behind you, Ross.
Probably.
Yeah.
I probably was going to my friend because my friend Dad used to take us, and I probably was like saying, "Gary, what's he saying?"
Yeah. Away, man! Get stuck in, man!
Yeah. Probably. Well, there we go. John, you have won, my friend. A speech as ever.
Oh, I think I'll just say thanks very much for my lucky win at Hardlines, Marcus. We're both pretty pants, weren't we, to be fair?
We need to compare that to an Ipswich game. Where have we won, but we've been absolutely rubbish? Not saying that was rubbish, John, but...
Yeah, no, that was in off the shin, wasn't it, really? It wasn't like an 18-yard strike. It wasn't a...
Tell you what, Ben Pringle, I can't remember who you played, but Ben Pringle scored a tackle once.
Yeah.
We won 1-0 under Mick, and Ben Pringle just tackled the ball and it went in.
Preston away, I think. Yeah. I think that was one goal. Or Huddersfield. I don't know why I remember two Ben Pringle's goals. I think it was Preston and Huddersfield, I think. Or Aaron Drynan. Aaron Drynan against Crewe. His only goal for Town, I think, Aaron Drynan. And he basically it's just there. And he just,
bundled it in
pretty much. Sorry, Peefy. I know he's your boy. Aaron Drynan.
Is he still playing for Orient? I don't hear nothing about him anymore.
Yeah, I think he is. I don't think he's like a main man up top for them. Of course, Idris Al-Mazouni is the main man in midfield for them, doing really well. Let me quickly get up Aaron Drynan's stats, as always good. Hasn't scored since October, but he's in and out of their team. But yeah, Aaron Drynan.
Times have changed very quickly in some ways. You think what we had, Drynan and Ollie Hawkins not that long ago, and now
Well, that summer window, David Cornell, Stephen Ward, and Ollie Hawkins, and then from this summer
the January window is bad as well.
January window as well.
I still remember that, whoever that I follow cameraman was, the Josh Harrop shot against Swindon away, where like he skies, like when you say sky it, there's like people say sky in it and they just hit it over the bar. It goes out of the stadium, but in the most pathetic way. It like trickles and trundles just out of the ground. It's one of the best bits of like cinematography I've seen at a football game.
Brilliant.
Hope we won an award for that. Won an award for that. Oh, that sort of segues nicely, actually, boys. Oh, look at that. Love that. It's talking about, okay, we've got an informed side. It's a fantastic football team. I think we enjoy watching. Of course, Kieran McKenna came out recently and spoke about, he says his informed side have scope to improve. Is there anything you think we need to improve on in these 10 games? We've improved the sloppy defending and a few other moments, maybe not scoring as much as we should be. But Mark, anything you think we should improve on just to make sure we get maximum points in these 10 games?
I think it's mainly composure. I think he kind of alluded to it, and a big moment in that Bolton game was the penalty save. And they kind of two moments actually that come from that are in sort of what we need to work on. And one, we actually showed aspects of that. So composure is probably the first thing, where you think when things go against us or our backs are against the wall, we just need to keep our heads, cooler heads prevail and keep playing our game and try and remain solid and, not do silly things. I think you look at it, and as Kieran said, that was, we kind of lost our heads a little bit, and the tackle from Burgess is, it's a bit ludicrous, really. I don't really know what he was thinking for the penalty, but we've seen at times that has happened. We're still all scarred from Charlton away. I think that's a prime example of that, where if anything, it was the opposite. I think we got a bit too comfortable. The experienced heads all came up and started celebrating at the end of the game. probably a bit prematurely, and then lo and behold, it come back to bite us in the end. Another thing I think I would like to see is for all our good and excellent play, you kind of still need to be able to grind out the wins and do the dirty stuff. So I think a lot's been made of how we delayed that penalty kick from being taken. So obviously Christian Walton doing a little bit of dirty stuff with the penalty spot, and Chaplin and Wolfie getting on at the referee. It all makes a difference. As maybe some people don't want to see that, but I mean, I remember reading Arnold Mirren and Franz Tyson's book. It mentions in there where I think Arnold Mirren flicked mud off his boots at the ball when it was on the penalty spot at Anfield to disrupt the penalty kick. Even the best players in the world do dirty stuff sometimes. So, yeah, just those moments that need to see us through games, I think we just need to work on. The only other thing, if I'm being picky, I think the final ball sometimes is still a little bit lacking, particularly from the right-hand side. I know Wes Burns has got a lot of flack this season. I think he's got a little bit better, not necessarily in the air. I think some of his crosses are still a bit wayward when they're in the air. Same with Caden Jackson, just needs to get his head up sometimes. I think he's so quick and he gets so far ahead that he just kind of has to hit the ball across and hope someone's there. But no, I mean, we're being very picky here, and I think Kieran McKenna's been very tactical with his choice of words. I think he's very happy with the month, but he can't say that. He can't say that in the press because, when you go and lose your next game, that's when that sort of comments come back to bite you. So, no, just composure and the dark arts. That would be the two for me if I was to pick anything.
Yeah, we've been very picky here, but I just thought it was a nice little conversation to have because, yeah, even though we've been in form or winning games here, there, and everywhere, but you always got to be a little bit picky still on your team. And one thing, John, we don't need to be picky about is, of course, set pieces. We're scoring them for fun, although there's times where I'm thinking, that's not a bad ball in the box. But, John, what's your one or two things you think we need to improve on?
Yeah, a couple of sillier things. The first one is Wolfie to stop kicking the post, because at some point when he kicks a post, he'll probably break his toe and be out for 4 weeks or something like that, So that needs to stop. That's something we're going to improve, because it's either through celebration or frustration. I worry when a player, because the boots are so thin, aren't they? If you catch that the wrong way, we don't want to lose somebody like Wolfie's stature in the team through a silly injury like that. So that's a bit of a daft one. But I guess it's similar to Mark in the sense of the dirty part of the game, the dark arts, game management. I thought that was so much better on Saturday than I've seen all season. Like, not just the penalty, just Jackson ran into the corner in the last few minutes when he could have had it. He could have gone for it, but actually it was better game management. I think that's something we could continue to build on. And I don't want to detract away from take the early free kick, moving the ball, because that's how McKenna wants us to play, and it's great to watch. But sometimes just choose the moments when to do that and keep developing that game management. And I think having the current partnership of Luongo and Morsey together, there's two players who both know how to do that. So if Morsey is walking the yellow card tightrope and he's in the referee's mouth as a captain, as a captain, maybe Luongo has to go and do a bit of that, and I think he's very capable of doing that. So that's something. Maybe what I would like to see is just a couple of, as nice as the 3-0, 4-0 wins are, maybe just like, one of those 1-0, like do a Chef Wed occasionally. Maybe that's something we need to improve on, when just grind out a result occasionally, even if we're not playing well. At Bristol Rovers, we could have maybe just ground out a 1-0. That would have been very different, wouldn't it? But we are being really picky because we're doing well and we want to see all the good things happen and continue happening. I'm pleased with the squad being a little bit more settled. And people like Broadhead have got into the stride, and he's done so well. I'm a big fan of him so far. I really am. I guess I would love to see him continue in that vein of form, rather than being didn't he have a good month, or didn't he have a good 6 weeks? Didn't he make a difference from signing in January to the end of the season? Keep that momentum building. however that goes about. And I think McKenna's talks so well about the game, doesn't he? His post-match interviews are a delight to listen to. I'm really pleased that I was wrong. I spoke to Ross the day he was appointed, and I remember saying, I just don't know if he's got any charisma. I don't know if he's very interesting to listen to. But actually, God, he really knows his football. He's infectious by his knowledge. And so I think he's well placed to keep us developing and keep us grounded. And maybe, do you know that little blip we had when it's not like we lost loads of games, but we suddenly drew too many games and didn't take our chances. Maybe that's grounded us all a little bit better, so we're not getting carried away. Because imagine if we were where we are. I'd rather be on the up where we are now than potentially where Plymouth are and going, oh God, it's about to fall apart. Imagine if Ipswich were in Plymouth's position and then slipped. Imagine how people would be reacting. So maybe we've had our little, let's just keep our feet on the ground. Let's be steady. Let's take the cliche of each game at a time and all that kind of thing. So it's maybe about getting better at just managing that and our expectations more. I don't know.
Definitely. Of course, pressure is on Plymouth, but of course, there's still pressure on us because of the money we've spent and the squad we've got. Well, boys, let's go into the Shrewsbury, but I'll say Sheffield Wednesday game. We've played them already. They're top of the league and all that. But Shrewsbury Town come to Portman Road. Steve Cottrell has done a very good job there. 9th in League One. Dark horses this campaign. Made some good signings. Mark, what's your overall thoughts on this one? We beat them 3-0 back at their place back in August, but they've done well this campaign. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think everyone kind of stood up and took notice with Shrewsbury early on in the season when, they brought in a couple of lads from Coventry who people were kind of surprised to see end up at Shrewsbury. And Steve Cottrell, for all his faults, is a very good League One manager. Not the flashiest, he never will be, but he knows how to get out of the division. I think when he was at Bristol City, he won it with over 100 points, I think, which, is testament to the work he can do. They've been on a hell of a run since the turn of the year, I think, and I don't think they'll be quite enough. They're kind of a little bit like we were, where maybe they just haven't got quite enough to get there because they've got a little bit of chasing to do, but they'll be well up for it. It's a good opportunity for them. I think they would be happy with probably a point here, but they're going to need more than that if they want to try and breach the playoffs. I think they're very adept from set pieces from what I've seen. I think they're top scorers from set pieces in the country, I think, but they have had 6 penalties in there, which kind of skews that a little bit, I think. But no, it's going to be a tough game. I think it's one of them games that could go either way, really, in which we find it tough and they grind it out, a bit like Lincoln did, where they make it really difficult. On the other side of things, if we get a quick goal, I could see us really turning them over. It could go either way. And, like we did when we went to their place, I don't know if Che Dunkley has recovered from John Jules putting him on his arse, but, they seem to have picked up defensively. And, it's going to be a tough afternoon for us. But like we keep on saying, that's got to be full focus on that. And I know from listening to Kieran McKenna, he's going to be fully focused and he'll have a game plan. I reckon there'll be a few changes, maybe afoot, to try and combat how they're going to play. But we'll see come Saturday how it all goes.
Yeah, indeed. John, your thoughts on Shrewsbury as a team? As Mark said, I've got Luke Lee, who's their captain, who's their top goal scorer, but overall, he's actually scored 8 penalties out of the 11 goals he's scored in all competitions. So if they get a penalty, he'll be a main man. But Christian Walton has saved a couple of penalties this season. But yeah, a team who, on the road, they're not got a bad little form, but I'm sure they'll be coming to Portman Road looking to cause an upset.
Yeah, in some ways, the fact that they've got something to play for and they're going for the playoffs might suit us because they might go, oh, we really need to close the gap. Let's go and have a go. I'm not sure a point's going to be enough for them, So the fact that they might go for it a little bit more than some teams have at Portman Road, hopefully will work in our favour because we all know that we're better against teams who are maybe a bit more expansive, trying to play football because there's a bit more gaps for us to exploit. But it sounds really cliched, but we've got to go out and try to win that game. You know, if we've got any ambition of going in the top two or even keep the momentum going, we should be trying to win our home games clearly, and we obviously will always try to win our home games in every game. But it's a game on paper you want us to win, so I'm sure it'll be hard work. But a fast start or an early goal and something flying off somebody's backside, or a dodgy penalty decision in our favour, anything. Just let's start well. Let's keep that momentum going, because I think if we got an early goal or if we got the first goal, I think that will be enough to kind of break their resistance a little bit. But it's obviously going to be a tough game. If we're going for predictions, I'm just going to go for a 2-0. I'm not going to get carried away. I'm going to go 2-0 Town.
Have a clean sheet. Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go for Broadhead to score. And I think it's going to be Big Fred, because I think he might get the nod. I think Big Fred might get the nod, even though I thought Hurst had a great game on Saturday. Freddie's still a good player, isn't he? And he works hard. I think Freddie's a better starter than he is a sub. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the only area of the pitch that is probably, if we were all picking our starting 11, if we were in the Wembley, you know, if we had one game to get promotion, automatic, or one game if it was a Wembley final, I think right now we would all pick the same team of who's fit, and the only 50-50 would probably be that centre forward spot. I think we'd all, you know, we know our keeper, we know our back four, we know, you know, as much as JD's never let us down, he'll probably be on the bench, etc. Luongo's made that starting berth alongside Morsey. Broadhead is there for his, you know, merit. Chapman has to start every game for me if he's fit. Wes is probably there, and Caden's not far behind him, but good old. Isn't that great that Jackson's pushing Wes on? Wes had a great ball for Hurst to score. I think Hurst is probably McKenna's preferred option when the dynamic's right. It's probably like 55 to 45 or 60-40 in Hurst's favour. But I think McKenna's really good at managing the squad and managing players and keeping them interested and keeping them, you know, who knows? Is Carl, the real Eduardo, going to suddenly be starting and, you know, have a curveball in there? I don't think there'll be too many changes, but it's only probably Big Fred or Hurst that is the main debate, I would have thought. Yeah,
definitely. I'll bring you in now then, Mark Beck. Take off the Freddie Ladapo hat. Talk about the strikers then. George Hurst has been fantastic the last few games. Had a good game, of course, on Saturday at Bolton. Scored his first league goal. What's your thoughts on that position?
I think the competition's good, really. And I think I'm more than happy to see the start, to be fair, as much as I love Freddie. I think that was the problem we kind of had for a little while with, you know, I feel for the lad, but I never rated Ahadmi from the moment he stepped, you know, he started playing for us. I thought he just never looked quite up to it, and I don't know if whether he'll ever play for us again. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But that was always a difficulty. He's got broad shoulders, but Freddie had to shoulder a lot of responsibility and burden. I think we're probably seeing that a little bit now, that he's got a bit of freedom. He's probably thriving a little bit from having that competition from Hurst. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of Hurst's goal on Saturday. I think it's probably, we've seen a lot of free kicks this season, which have probably stole the limelight. But for me, as a pure striker's goal, that's probably, you can't ask for much more. It's a brilliant goal. You know, probably one of the best goals I've seen from a striker for us from a number of years, to be honest. So hopefully that'll be the catalyst for him to go. But yeah, it's a tough one. Completely agree with John. I think Freddie is better as a starter. Obviously, he's had a few big moments when he's come off the bench. Portsmouth, Charlton should have been his moment. I had that Celine Dion Titanic music all set up for that goal there, but yeah, we buggered that up, didn't we? But no, I think you kind of want Hurst to keep finding this momentum now, because we'll need it. But like I said, I'm happy to see the start. I might as well get my prediction in as well, as we've got it here. I'll go for some bolder stuff. I'm going to say it's only going to be 1-0. Marcus Harness is going to finally break his drought from the bench. and there's going to be a red card for Shrewsbury.
Ooh. Who are you giving it to?
One of the centre halves.
Okay.
So I think it'll be Pennington, Dunkley, or Flanagan usually.
Flanagan,
I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
So one of them will get sent off.
Ooh, hot takes. I like it. And as John said, you wanted some more 1-0 wins. There's that one right there. Harness off the bench. The score.
Let's be fair, we'll all take just 3 points. It doesn't really matter how the performance is, because the momentum is getting 3 points. The other team's looking at us, feeling the pressure. It's the 3 points that counts now. I feel like I'm speaking in loads of cliches, but now in the 10-game run-in, it's like kind of, really important that it doesn't matter how you play. It's just getting points on the board. That's what it is, isn't it? Points on the board. So definitely. 1-0, 3-0, 5-0, doesn't matter. Let's just do it.
Yes, indeed. Bring it on. Well, boys, it's been a pleasure. Another good podcast. We're getting to the hour mark. Always the perfect time limit for these podcasts. But as always, any other business? I'm going to quickly mention some sad news before I go over to Mark and John for any business. John Kerr sadly passed away, a former chairman of the football club. First became a board member back in 1983, took over as town chairman in 1991. Of course, Patrick Cobbold decision to step down. Of course, John was there when we were in the Premier League for the first time. So some sad news there. Thoughts to his family and friends, and I'm sure teammates and players who played under him as a chairman. So there we go. But over to you, Mark. Any other business from yourself?
No, I don't think there is, mate. I think we're all cushy, a bit like our season at the minute. Whether I'm on between now and the end of the season, all I'll say is just enjoy these last 10 games. It's nice to actually have something to play for. Give it your all. The boys are going to need you as much as we need them to perform. So I know the Blue Army will turn up in their numbers. You've got to turn up in good voice as well. So yeah, however this end of the season goes, just enjoy it. Really, it's nice to be involved. I still remember, pre-COVID going to Wimbledon. It was 0-0. Turgid dross that was. So it's nice to, even if our hearts are broken at the end, it'll be a memorable season for one reason or another, rather than just a unmemorable one. But yeah, no, thanks for having us on again, Ross, and yeah, look forward to chatting to you again soon.
Indeed, always a pleasure, my friend. And over to you then, John Watson. Any other business?
Well, thanks for having me on. Good to see you, and good to have chat with Mark as always. Enjoy his company and his input. I guess the only thing I want to throw in as any other businesses, a couple of people shared yesterday the amazing motivational speech or moment from Gareth Ainsworth at QPR. Now, obviously, this is a podcast. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you haven't seen the motivational speech, the snippet of Ainsworth talking to the QPR squad, and then his surprise guest, and then the faces of the QPR squad while the surprise guest was doing their motivation, it is well worth a watch. And I was having a bit of a rubbish day, and I checked my phone at some point and saw that, and it just brightened my day up. So if you're having one of those moments, do check it out, because it's just odd and surreal and funny and yeah, wacky. So yeah, check that out. I'm sure we can put it in the chat when this goes out on Twitter. We can put one of the links in there or something if you haven't seen it. But that's just a daft any other business. But yeah, echo what Mark says. Let's enjoy this special run, and let's remember we're going to finish in the top 6 regardless. We got a chance to finish in the top 2. This time last season, well, we were hopeful, but we slipped out. We were nowhere near, really, were we? So let's keep it going. Let's enjoy it, and let's cheer the boys on. So come on, you Blues.
Love it, my friend. Up the town. Well, thanks, Mark and John, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to another Kings of Anglia Fans Social. Now it's my attempt to do an outro, which always ends in just shambolic fashion. But as always, big shout out to our sponsors at Manscaped and Ginger Pickle, the goat of marketing, SEO, and all that sort of stuff. And Manscaped, use the code KOA, they get 20% off and free delivery at checkout. If you haven't already, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel, follow us on all the socials, on Kings of Anglia. Follow good old John Watson and Mark Beck on Twitter as well if you want to hear from them. And if you want to get involved in future podcasts, game day, other videos, get in contact with me at Ross Media UK. Always to get more voices heard as we get into the running for this big season in League One. Once again, enjoy the game. If you're not, follow the game. No, wait.
It's going so well, Ross. It was going so well, and you just fallen at the last hurdle.
That didn't even make sense. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. Bye-bye for now.